Identity swapping is powergasm. It's somebody taking away your power, your talent, your potential, your future by swapping destinies with you. This is what the Didi sacrifices were about. That's why there were so many around him that fell, many unalived. What did that do for him? Every time somebody more talented, experienced, somebody with great potential and a lot of fan base faltered beneath his feet, he became bigger and bigger. And this is also what J.K. Rowling wrote about in the Harry Potter series, the Horcruxes. Behind every ginormous success case, somebody who is mythically huge and successful, there were these sacrifices, the skeletons in the closet that most people do not see. And most people chant as if this person is a hero. They put them on a pedestal without realizing that doing so actually propels them even more. It gives them more energy, more power, and builds their aura. It builds their protection. It maintains their powerful status quo, making it almost impossible to dethrone them. They're harvesting their community's energy, their past associates, their friends' energy, and the fan base energy to make themselves indestructible. This is the psychology of those who are the most power hungry. Now, before we jump into judging, you must realize that you need to practice some aspect, some version of this too. Otherwise, you will not make it to the destination where you want to go, the success that you desire. Whether you're happy or unhappy, winning or losing, getting what you want, or are stagnant and failing, all depend on your relationship with power and how good you are at winning the power games. Whether you tend to have an upward swing and spiral or have a downward swing and spiral depend on whether effectively dethrone others on your pathway to success or get dethroned by others. How you overcome the shame of humiliation rituals, at the same time minimizing the threats of sacrifice coming your way through the illusion of mentorship, opportunities, and somebody giving you some kind of lottery offer. Oftentimes, the worst offers are free. They're too good to be true. They seem to require minimal risks from your part. It feels more realistic and reasonable for you. It feels like it will be less problematic and more comfortable. You must beware of the path of least resistance. Nothing is free. The world is ruthless competition. And whatever you want, the soft life, the accolades, the success, fame, money, whatever it is, how you quantify success, everybody else wants too. Conventional schools and educators train you to believe that you can all win together. Then corporate gaslights you on teamwork, collaboration, mission. None of it is true. While the majority believe in those concepts, there is the shrewd, savvy person, maybe one or two in the total number of people who are in that community, who is carefully plotting and planning to take it all. Usually that person is in a leadership position where they're benefiting the most, or they're the up and coming person who will get to that leadership position because they have plotted and played strategically. Those who are trained to be transparent will always fail in this game. Those who are trained to feel bad for other people when they can't even take care of themselves, those who are trained to have guilt, which people believe is empathy, they're not the same thing. You feeling bad when you have more than somebody else, that's not empathy, that's guilt. Religious, cultural, societal, gender-based guilt. What you fear is being bad, being a bad person, being called bad, being seen as bad. You want to be good. That's your identity. And whatever action you take align with how you see yourself or how you want to be seen by others. The good girl. the good person. While you're abiding to the shame identity and ideologies, those who are making it to the top, whether they are celebrities, public figures, someone significant in your industry, they all have skeletons in their closet. There's a reason why somebody becomes huge, how they become powerful in their industry, their community. You look at any celebrity, at some point there will be some kind of story that surfaces here and there that suggests the potential that back in the day they had sacrificed somebody. Back in the day they had a best friend who was very talented. That friend is no longer to be seen. They had an associate, they had a business partner. Somehow they disappeared. Many times they were mysteriously killed, unalived, committed suicide. The bigger the celebrity, the more this will be true, because they have harvested those people's energy and grew bigger and bigger. How one becomes more powerful is through harvesting power, the life source of somebody else. For example, there's a small fish and a bigger fish. The bigger fish eats the smaller fish, and then it becomes a greater fish. Now that bigger fish can handle another bigger fish and consumes it. It becomes a bigger fish. You have played a simple game like this in the past at some point. That's how power harvesting works too. How does a husband become so successful? He's been harvesting his wife's nurture and life force energy, all the support, all the work that she has done for him to shine, the ideas, the brainstorming, everything that she's done for him free of charge. While some may argue he pays for her livelihood, when you pull the accounting, you can see that what she has given him is beyond any pay grade. If her work has converted into millions, but she's not getting the millions, or she's still having to depend on him to enjoy the millionaire lifestyle, then that is not a fair transaction. So essentially, the man has taken her power to grow his own, while he has complete control over the outcome. Women have been trained to be supporting roles. For thousands of years in patriarchy, women were not allowed to take credit. Women are allowed to put themselves out there and be authors, inventors, creators, and take full credit. They had to go through another man to be legitimate. Use your brother's name, your father's name, your husband's name, and oftentimes erased by those same people. Through our whole upbringing as women, we've been trained to be supportive, giving, nurturing, free of charge, to give and give and give, so that we would be easy to control and be harvested for our power. Women, not only men, have been trained to use each other as leverages to power up. Those may be the women that you're calling narcissistic women. Is it narcissism, or are these people not meeting the gender role requirements that you have in mind? Would it still be narcissistic if a man did the same to you? Or were you just not expecting a woman to be that way? There is a line to what I call powergasm. It's the feeling of winning. It's the feeling, the addictive feeling, the exhilaration that you get when you're winning. And once you start winning, you get into a winning streak. That is the upward spiral. And that happens when you A, take from somebody else, or B, this is another option, create your own energy. The way you can think about this is through the experience of an animal that predates versus a plant that creates. When we talk about powergasm, a lot of people get very triggered and upset, thinking that they also have to go out there and sacrifice and kill people. Of course, figuratively, in this sense, you have to dethrone somebody, you have to demote somebody, or get somebody fired, or in some way harm that person. While that can be true and can happen when people get in the way or they are coming after you as an op, you have to fight back, obviously, and you have to play offense as much as defense. But in addition to that, Just like a plant can create its own life by taking on sunlight and water and resources, nutrients from the soil, you can also create the powergasm by resourcing up, tapping into the needs of the market. But that pathway feels more sophisticated, nuanced, and challenging, requires more patience and work. That's why so many people who you call the narcissists take the easier, more reductive way out, which is to consume someone else's life force energy. Sometimes that feels a lot faster. It feels easier. So an example of the two types of powergasm is one, you decide to plagiarize. This is very typical. The first sign of a narcissist would be plagiarism. You go out there and you see something that you find really interesting, or what a cool concept, and I like to also do this or sell this. Then you steal. And then you start selling that. That's a shortcut. And if you can get away with it, then it feels good because you have to do minimal work. This is how colonization works. Think about how colonization is. You go to a place, you see that, oh, these people have this amazing resources, feel entitled to it. Finders keepers, even though you just arrived, is new to you but not to the natives. You take all that and then you build your own wealth. That's colonization. It's stealing. In most industries, it would be plagiarism, or even cultural appropriation, taking it from another culture, bringing it to your culture, where you rely on the fact that most people in your community wouldn't know what this is because this is from a faraway culture, although this has become extremely difficult nowadays because of the internet and social media. But people can take that and repurpose it, turn it into something else, and sell it to a naive community. And then claim proprietorship, trademark, patent, etc. This steals the life force of people's life's work, generational intellectual property, know-hows. You can steal that. The second way of gaining power is that you can be inspired by different aspects of creating your own. And this takes longer, it takes more energy, it takes more nuance, it takes a lot of patience, and a lot of people feel too lazy to take the second pathway. But this is the pathway of depth. It's an extraordinarily satisfying powergasm that you feel when you connect the dots together and you create something. You manifesting something of value that you can now benefit from and help others benefit from that too. Powergasm isn't all bad. Identity shift can happen with or without harming people, with or without stealing, with or without predation. Capitalism requires speed. We're all conditioned by capitalism and its values, regardless of whether you see yourself as a capitalist or not. That means you want your results now, you want your fame now, you want your money now. You want it as fast as possible. You want your problems gone now. You don't want to have to deal with them again. You want the absolute, and you want the good life, the soft life, the success, the money, the fame, everything right now. And you want all of this without doing as little as work as possible, making as little change as possible, putting in as low effort as possible. Most cases, you want to have your cake and eat it too. You want to minimize your risks and get all the results. This is how a narcissist operates. But just because you don't relate to being a narcissist doesn't mean that you don't have these desires. You do. The narcissist's absolute religion is capitalism. Before they have any other cultural beliefs or religions, their absolute belief is what's going to give them advantages in capitalism because they care about power and control. Those are their main value systems. The only difference between people that you would call narcissists and people who are on some normal spectrum is how far will you go? How much will you do? How much will you sacrifice? And who will you sacrifice to benefit from the outcome and to have the outcome as quickly as possible? So when you're watching the Didi documentary or you're looking at somebody's rise, somebody who became a huge celebrity overnight, then obviously, if it's a real story, there are skeletons in the closet. Somebody or many people were sacrificed on their way for them to get there. When somebody is building slower, usually that person is taking their time, because creating your own energy, everything on your own, your trade secrets, that takes time, patience, consistency, commitment. It's much easier to steal somebody else's and run with it. Diddy sacrificing his associates, his friends, the big rappers, allegedly, those who were much more talented than him, more popular than him, those who had a tremendous future ahead. The bigger the sacrifice, the bigger power he gained. You will see that every time he made those big sacrifices, like the 9 people who died at the event, then he became the famous rappers like Tupac and Biggie. The greater the life force energy that he took, the bigger he skyrocketed to fame, money, and what we call success in capitalism. When you see somebody, or when you meet somebody who gained tremendous power in very short time, know that that person is quietly sacrificing others. And even if you can't see it, know that this is happening and be very discerning. And if you question your progress, then ask yourself, what were you willing to do and not willing to do? If you're in constant creation and birthing cycles, you're doing your photosynthesis, like a plant creates energy that way. That's a self-creation cycle. You're cycling through your life source energy through different resources and inspiration. You're creating your own. Then you need to have patience. It doesn't mean that you are wrong. The analogy of how a cactus takes its time for it to sprout from beneath the soil, and then it takes overnight for it to shoot up and grow very quickly. That is what it's like to use your creative life force energy to create tremendous results. Somebody who doesn't have a lot of talent, doesn't have a lot of skills, doesn't have a lot of depth, and you see this person suddenly become multimillionaire out of pulling some tactics or tricks, that person's success is built on a mountain of sacrifices. If you see somebody who lacks social skills, social elegance, doesn't seem to have a lot of awareness with power dynamics and hierarchy, and they somehow seem to make it, that person is standing on a mountain of sacrifices. You see somebody who doesn't seem to have a lot to give, but they somehow made it, then that person is also standing on a mountain of sacrifices. You only know people based on their PR. I can't emphasize this enough. You have to learn to discern, take your time, and get to know people. Because if you don't, then you will become their sacrifice. The most alluring people who have the ability to draw in a lot of people with sweet words, lottery wins, promising you something that feels impossible. They promise you magic, and you apparently don't have to change very much, do much, or lift a finger. And you see that this person is tremendously successful, their business is doing tremendously well. Then you have to realize that they're standing on a mountain of sacrifices. Look at celebrities too. They have ongoing sacrifices. Usually when a star has a big star, they have sacrificed their associates, business partner, or a really close friend. I will not name who. Up to you to go do the research, because I don't want to deal with defamation. But the laws are out there. If you want it to become easier for you, it is essential that you understand the laws of power, hierarchy, and how energy stealing, life force energy stealing, and these power rituals work. What Didi did, those are all power rituals. The stories that you hear about betrayal and identity swapping, one celebrity was up and coming and another celebrity suddenly became the more successful one, and the other one who seemed to have more potential suddenly vanished or never got anywhere. These are all stories of identity swapping that has to do with power rituals. There were certainly many different events that took place behind the scenes, and sometimes the victim doesn't even realize what it took for them to lose. This is happening to you every single day. It happens in forms of bullying, or somebody copying you, or somebody taking something that is yours and running with it, and either you don't know about it or you know about it, but you decide to take the high road. You don't hold that person accountable. You let the person get away with things. It is important for you to learn how to be good at putting accountability down, putting boundaries down, and it is required for you to become petty. Do not let them steal your power and let them hold on to it. If somebody takes your power, you have to take it back. People also take your personal items and hold on to it. You may not even know that you're missing something, but people will either keep something that you left at their house if you ever cohabitated with somebody, or they'll take something from your house, even if it's not something significant or special, a piece of your hair. Anything that belongs to you, they can take that item and use it for their power ritual. It's the sneakiness, getting away with it, that gives them the audacity to get more, to go for more, to have the confidence to fight for more, for them to deserve more. If I can get away with this, if I can trick this person, if I can steal from this person, then I can do so much bigger. The enemies become bigger. Their counterparts become bigger. Their victims become bigger. Sacrificing a high value person gives their perpetrator higher energy value. Sacrificing many frequent or high volume of people, even though they're smaller or weaker, the energy harvested compounds and gives the perpetrator a lot of power up. Always be discerning, learn to play the game, and stop being the naive good girl who falls prey or becomes the collateral damage in the power games of those who are savvy and committed to win no matter at what cost. Stop being the good girl, become the bad bitch. Go down to the description to get started today. Take action. You can start with a book, start with a course, start with the AI. The do-it-yourself and the AI are better when used together. Or if you're in a more senior position or in business, then the Eminence program is right for you. Learn how to sustainably harvest power to get what you want. Go down to the description to get started.